Hello, today I'm going to show you how I am going to install these BOMAR P100-04-Retro Screen Kits. So I've already done two windows. I've had some difficulties, so I thought I would illustrate the difficulties I'm having. So I'm going to be doing this screen. The first thing I need to do would be I have to remove this gasket and the screen, and just start out with a screwdriver pulling this out. So what I would start is going into here, and you can start to feel it pulling it. I try not to rip the gasket while I'm pulling it out. I'm trying to get it out as one piece, but you might try to do it however you'd like, but it's just the way I want to do it. So what we're going to do is see if I can get this captured how I'm doing. There's just a groove, it's like a C channel, that this gasket is in. What I'm trying to do is work the screwdriver as I'm pulling on the gasket to loosen that glue out, which I will later remove with an adhesive like Goo Gone or lacquer thinner. I've tried them both and they both seem to work. But as I move around, you can see that screen is starting to come out. Now you can also remove this window up here. These screws here you can remove. There's one on each side. You could remove those screws here, here, and here, 4 of them. But you got to be real careful because the screws on the back side will fall out. And so you need to put something down here so those screws don't disappear somewhere in between your panels. So I'm going to try to do it without taking this window out, but if I need to, I could show you how. Corners always seem to be a little harder than the rest of the window. Now this is a 1997 SeaRay Sundancer 330, and these are BOMAR or Pompette bought them out, and they're the SS616. I'll confirm that later on in the video. Stainless steel window. Pretty standard on a lot of boats. And you want to do this, but you're not expecting any rain in the near future because you have any difficulties. Last thing you'd want to do is have no gasket and have this leaking water into inside your boat. I don't have much farther to go here. I'm trying to be careful with the screwdriver so I don't end up ripping this is just plexiglass, I don't want to scratch it, so I'm trying to be very careful around here. So you pull on it while you pry the glue. There. So there it is. That's the gasket removed. Now the key is to get in this U-channel here and get all the glue residue out, and that means all of it. And I can use a couple of products. One that I used, it seemed to help soften up the glue, is this Goo Gone, and the other is just lacquer thinner. So I'll stop here while I start the cleaning process. I put some lacquer thinner on this rag, and I'm just going to start working it into this channel to try to soften this glue up. I don't have too much as I don't want it dripping, and I don't want to get that lacquer thinner on any of my upholstery or anything. So it's just enough to kind of soften the glue, and I don't want it running and dripping. And some of these glue, once you get it soft, you can just pull it out. So this is the idea. You just got to keep working it and working it and working it. Use a little scraper if you want, but I don't like to. I don't want to scratch that stainless steel by using something sharp. So this screwdriver is fairly dull. It's not like a wood chisel. Once I get that glue softened and loosened, just keep on rubbing it. Some of it will come right off. Others you got to play with quite a while. This does take me some time to get it completely off, but I want to make sure it is completely clean and smooth so that the new part has a place to fix to. And the glue's got a nice clean surface to bond to, so I'm not getting any leaks. Alright, so I'll just keep working and resume this in a while. So I went over the final coat, getting rid of all the goo gone, because it leaves kind of an oily residue. So I went in there with a lacquer thinner and cleaned off all the goo gone. So now it's a pretty virgin piece of metal in there, all nice and clear along those edges. Now the job is to put this inside that ring with the orange tape facing in and this groove facing towards the inside of the window so the screen can fit in the groove. So I've got to have the orange in, that's the tape, the groove facing inside the window. So this orange tape will be on the exterior of the boat, so it adheres to this flat surface. Groove is towards the inside of the window to receive the screen, and you'll look on this and you'll see a seam. I don't know if I can show it to you very well. This is the seam right here. That's going to go on top of the window. So you don't want that seam at the bottom where there's going to be water leaks. So you put that seam at the top. What I do is start peeling a little bit of tape, put it in, and then pull the tape as I work this around and try to keep this. I don't want to stretch this. I don't want to stretch this ring. I want to keep this ring in the same size. I don't want to stretch it, so I just pull the tape as I work this around gently and see if I can get that in that window. So here we go. Alright, so I don't know if I want to get my fingerprints in there. I've already got it all nice and lacquered off. And I'll just take a dry paper towel just to be on the safe side. Make sure this isn't contaminated at all, because I want that glue to stick not good. This way too you can also feel if there's any residue of glue, because it'll bind. It won't be smooth going around if there's any glue in there. It'll stick to this dry paper towel. So what I do now is find the seam, which I want to go on the top, start to peel away one of these pieces of tape. So now I got that tape peeled away, and I know this is going to want to go in. This is where I got to be careful, because that glue is very sticky. I want it to go in the right spot. Essentially it's going to be going in like this all the way around. That. What I want to do is pull this tape down . As I go around, I want to pull that tape. And I want to try to get that grommet in there as close as I can to the edge. Remember, don't stretch this as you're working your way around. So I'm going to try to work it towards the outside edge of this window, where the last time I did it on the inside edge, and I think that's what made my screens too small. So this time I'm going to try to get this to seat the outside edge of this window. So in other words, I'm pushing down as I'm also pushing in to make that butyl tape stick. I think that might have been my mistake last time, as I tried to force it onto the inside edge, and that made the screens feel a little too big. So now that is in completely. The groove is on the inside of the window. Now I'm going to press all the way around to try to get that glue to stick. Make sure I've got good contact all the way around. So I'm going to put some pressure as I walk my fingers around this thing. Another way I could do it is try to shut the window on it. What I have here is a plastic knife. I push that in just a bit so I'm not tearing that seal. On this, just a dry run. Just press some pressure on that seal while it tries to get that glue to sit. Now the screens have the word inboard, and I put that the inboard side and put this down so I can read it. That's the way I'll try to get that inserted in the window. And it's not an easy task to get this in either, because it's a tight fit. It's almost like you need to bend this a little bit. And again, there's my plastic knife that I use, just the blunt edge of it. I'm going to try to work this gasket out of the way while I'm pulling down on this window. I'm working my way around it. Now I can also use a small screwdriver if I'm really careful, because I don't want to tear that grommet. Just going to pull that grommet away. There. And essentially I can walk this around. Pulling the grommet down and pushing in pushing in that screen at the same time. As you get closer to the end, it binds more and more. It makes it more and more difficult. So gotta be patient. There we go. It's moving now. We've got about an inch left to go. It's always the hardest part. There we go. I think it's in. I'm going to feel all the way around. See, it's not all the way in at the top. And pushing with my fingertips as I'm lifting up that gasket so that that screen slides into its groove. But it's only little tabs that go into the groove. It's not the whole screen. It's not like the whole width of the screen frame fits into that grommet's groove. I'm going to try to work my fingertips in a different direction. It's about as good as I'm going to get it. The screen does have a little bit of a wave to it. It's not stretched perfectly flat because the pressure on this edge of the screen is collapsing the screen a bit, making it do this kind of a thing. It gets a wave to it. But that's it. That's the installation. Now it's just a matter of closing the window for a while and hoping it takes a set, because it's hard to get that thing to close. It binds up here in the top as you're closing it. It wants to lift the grommet up instead of sliding across it. So I'm going to put a little bit of silicone grease on there and hope to let it slide a little bit better. That's it. So there's the finished product. There. These are those dogs at the bottom were very difficult to close. Now there's some, I think 7/16 or a ½ inch. I think there's 7/16 nuts on the inside of those plastic dogs at the bottom that you can back out. And then once you loosen that up, those screws that go through the dogs can unscrew. And there's not very much play. There's only, it looks like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 threads extra. So I'd be very careful with that. But you can back that nut off, unscrew the dog a bit, maybe one turn. It'll give you a little extra clearance and it won't be so hard to close them. I'm almost afraid that those dogs are going to crack. There's so much pressure on them right now. But yeah, I'm going to let those gaskets take a set, see if it gets any easier. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time.